is able to get her ultimate true passive stacks a lot more easily now, since they've reduced the total cost of stacks to get the empowered auto attack in the first place.
Yeah, the super magic. Yes, yes, that's totally correct. That's totally correct. I think that there is an argument that it could be for Rome, but
whoa!
Wow! Martis into got taught. The counter pick upon counter picks.
Martis is actually a really good counter pick here, since the anti-CC will allow you to avoid that Violet Requiem as long as played correctly. I can't remember if Zayat has played Martis before. Has he? Can you remember?
Yes, he has. He has. Grok finally gets locked in here. I'm trying to remember what season. Was it season 11 or season 12 that he was able to play it? Because it was the meta of you either play the Martis or like the Nolan, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah.
That was way back in the day. But I'm loving the draft so far, and it looks like it's going to be Guinevere in the jungle, Grok as their natural support. I like this a lot because the mid lane matchup significantly becomes harder for Gothard. He will take a brass tax when he tries to one-shot the wave.
But I do still think that TODAK actually clear mid lane slightly faster.
They do.
And when you combine Martis and Farsa together along with CC, there's a lot more early game control for TODAK.
That's true, but this depends. Does Grok go for the wall or does he go for the mighty swing? If he goes for the wall, he can actually manipulate the waves to keep it closer to their turrets at level 1 to try and gain control and start that tax. With that being said, it's time to head on over into the land of Dawn to get this second game on the road. Once again, welcome everybody from watching around the world and within Malaysia. Thank you for tuning in to the English broadcast of the MPL MY Season 16. Let's get right into it. TODAK on the blue side, facing up against third place finishers, runner-ups here at the MPL MY. Newcomers last season, Untitled.
The Swordfish is eager to reclaim lost glory, rebuild a new legacy. But will this be an Untitled story after all? It did look like Rasi got the wall first. We saw that during the flyover of the land of Dawn. Already a bit of an interaction around the first Litho. We can see Zyme Senpo is going to do a lot of damage at level 2, but it looks like the Litho was stolen by Kimin.
Unfortunate for Zyme. He thought Zyme also landed the stun onto the Litho Wanderer, miscalculated the amount of damage she did onto the Litho Wanderer. Now, looking at the emblems, Brave Smite, Impure Rage, Concussive. Okay, nothing out of the ordinary. 2 Wilderness Blessings compared to 1 Wilderness Blessing. No Wilderness for the side of Dreams. He prefers Tenacity.
I think what's also interesting is that Kimin has gone for Impure Rage. So the question is this going to be a damage jungle Guinevere or more of a bruiser style?
I think it's gotta be bruiser style, right? I feel like this is the Brute Force Breastplate sort of build. Brute Force Breastplate. I'm not sure whether this first item rush. It's been a while since I've seen a Guinevere in the meta. But for now, let's see how they play this out. Because Untitled Dreams, he's got to be careful, right? His life total, as much as we say life is a resource, his life total is actually so important because it predetermines whether they have mid-prio or not.
Yeah, Dream's gonna need to create space. Zyme naturally is able to clear lane quite fast, and then the Farsa is gonna contribute a lot of early damage, which is needed for this Martis. So Dream sets a lot of that up. Rasi already chunking out Zayed. Before Turtle even starts, Kimin gonna avoid the Unbreakable with a nicely timed Violet Requiem. That's a free first objective for Untitled. Revitalize gonna be used. Dreams knocked against the wall. Feathered Airstrike doing a lot of damage, but Kimin secures the first blood, picking off Dreams. Unfortunately, Rasi gonna be sacrificed in exchange.
Beautiful stuff. Rasi didn't even bother using his flicker, knowing that he was going to die. He'd rather trade his life as they are punching upwards, trading up against people like Dreams. But the assists that have been distributing, especially for Kimin, kind of evens it all out at the end. Regardless, Untitled walking away with 300 gold in the back pocket alongside with the Turtle, which is always good for a team who wants to play ahead.
Zaya definitely underestimated the poke damage from Rasi there. Lost half his HP, walking out of the bush as a Martis, by the way. He should be able to avoid those. And then Kimin using his ult to avoid the taunt from Dreams as well. We can see why Untitled is catching everyone's eye this season.
Storm gonna be chunked out for at least 1/3 of his HP. Even the lethal ignition not gonna bring him lower than that. For now, Rasi He knows that the mid lane is not to be worried about. He needs to make sure that SkyZ, which is most likely where Martis is going to end up, because they know that he started on that purple buff and waited for the Litho Wanderer. Now keep in mind, as much as Grok has been changed, I think some of his changes are for the better. The only thing is, how exactly do you just time the cancels? I can't do it. I'll be dead honest. I cannot cancel CC for anything. I just can't react to it.
I just don't think about doing it.
You just press buttons, and
if it happens, it happens.
That's just the way to play, right? That's just the way to play. Now, both sides contesting for the river so far, but mid prio is so important, and if TODAK can zone out Stoem as alongside Rossi, they will get first move.
Wings by wings already used quite early on. Lolil is in the mid lane. Gonna be forced to go back down since SkyZ was able to clear up the wave. That means that SkyZ can actually join this turtle take, and Lolil will be a little slower.
Not sure why Lolios didn't bother to try and go for the initial bot side push, but there's no control here at all. This turtle should fall into their hands easily.
You just straight up cannot contest this as TODAK. Dreams could have maybe ulted in, but already ate so much damage before the fight even started. And Zayed is still trying to clear that purple. Untitled in complete control over the map.
Yep, Keeman already purchased his Brute Force breastplate. First item as well. Zayed forced to use his Retribution early on, especially with the threat of Rossi potentially stealing it away, knowing that he still has his Tectonic ult ready to go. Oh no, wait, hold on.
Dreams might have to ult out of this here. The Tectonic charges come out. Here comes Violent Requiem, not going to be used. Revitalize, as well as Feathered Airstrike, allows Dreams to get away.
That was on Rossi. Rossi should have held his ult a little bit later. It ended up knocking up upon lifting up from the Lantern Flare. If he waited just a couple of seconds later, he probably would have guaranteed the kill. Either way, it's still plenty of pressure and honestly necessary pressure, knowing that Dreams doesn't have that Revitalize. He's not going to be as tanky, and SkyZ, this poke is relevant.
Fortunately, since Dreams is the only way they have to open up the map as well, and Stoem is making it hard for him to do so, TODAK just cannot really extend control over the river. And we're already looking at a 1.5k gold lead at the 5-minute mark.
Yep, Keeman already a level up on Zayed at this point of time, right? Zayed is looking for any means to interact with his opponents because that's what Martis wants to do, right? Martis just wants to get involved, start the snowball early, and then invade the jungle. Without that lead, it's just so hard to do. Now with the War Axe finally finished from Fondir's side, that might be an opening for Zayed to play through his lane.
Fondir definitely needed to win out lane a little more notably. This CC would have made a big difference in securing fights for TODAK, but this guy actually slightly ahead in EXP, so you can see the Lapu working out quite well. Dreams once again.
Oh my god!
That was a mistake from SkyZ actually. He had to use Flicker.
Yep, he had to use Flicker there. That was not intentional. He did not want to Rondo in that direction. But with the next turtle up, this is the third turtle. And now TODAK. The onus is kind of on them. They can still sacrifice his turtle if necessary, but Zayed, he needs some money.
Here comes the Conceal, instantly cancelled with the Earthen Rampart. Landshaker lands on 2, it's a beautiful Tectonic Charge, Violent Requiem combo, is that what comes out? Lolil going for the backline, Untitled dropping very, very low. Keeman and Rossi going to be sacrificed, but they find Tree in exchange.
Beautiful stuff. Zyme Senpai unable to participate in that fight whatsoever. Storm keeping him in check. The Feathered Airstrike cancel out early as well. Lolios, he could have gotten triple of his own had he had a little bit of help.
Unfortunately, TODAK not quite ready to truly follow up on that. While Rossi and Keeman did go down because they were stacked up, as we can see in the instant replay, a lot of resources were already spent beforehand. So TODAK could not maximize damage.
What a beautiful play that was. A great stun by Siska. Everybody looked at each other and they knew exactly what to do. Storm pulled his target into the Violent Requiem, into the Magic Thump, and now Rossi in trouble.
1v4 has to use the Tectonic Charge defensively. Here comes the AOG. In the meantime, front line, Keeman gonna be picked off with the Zaman Force. Siska now 1v4. But Dreams also falls. That's a Sky Piercer stack for SkyZ. Siska gonna be pulled back with the Mortal Coil. And that's another body down. TODAK currently up on top 4v3.
And now they go for the reset here. TODAK, they're punching above their weight right now, despite 1.9k behind their opponents. With Keeman gone, it allows Zayed to catch back up to level 10. I do think he needs a reset. Currently, it's really, really difficult to turtle dance, especially in broken walls. As you can see, the pit has been split into 2.
Yeah, it's a bit too difficult to hold the objective unless you guarantee control over most of the river area. So far, though, I do feel like Untitled has been trading more bodies than they need to. I think He-Man has been going a little too over-aggressive. Looking at items as well, it does seem to be the Brute Force build for Guinevere.
Yep. Brute Force looks like he's going to go into Genius Wand next. Could opt elsewhere, but we'll see for now. Glowing Wand already complete from Stone on top of the Gleaming Gem. 2 items completed by SkyZ. Did I ever tell you that I played a game with SkyZ?
Oh, really?
Thanks to Wadeen, and he didn't tell me. He was just using an alternate account. And I was like, man, this Wand-Wand's kind of cracked. His Granger's kind of cracked. Who is this guy?
And then after the game, he tells you, oh,
Yeah.
that was SkyZ.
And that was SkyZ. And I was just like, oh. Why didn't she say that earlier, dude? I was just wondering, it's like, where'd you find this random who's absolutely demolishing these poor public kids? Oh, wait, hold on.
They're trying to engage. Summon Force comes out. Storm has to use the
Oh,
ultimate.
good.
AOG comes in. He uses the Flicker to escape. Nice disengage from Untitled. We'll see if they want to turn this around. Conceal going to be used. Zayed in the bush right now. A little bit far forward. The wall comes up, pushes him back. Earth Rampart locking him down. Violent Requiem cancelled. Demon going to need to back off from there.
Good stuff. Great play coming in from Loliel's side. Was able to dash around so fast that it didn't really give Untitled much time to think about, can I land the CC? Forcing out the Flicker from Stoem. This gives an opportunity for Dreams to maybe catch him if we do see the Lantern Flare come out sooner than necessary. Ooh, Brute Force coming in from Siska as well. How far ahead is Siska? I'm pretty sure he's only 1 item in, right?
They seem to be going for a very aggressive style, which is certainly in line with Untitled's preference of scrappy team fighting. So far, though, I think TODAK actually doing a pretty good job with their positioning. The net worth lead still only about 3k as we enter 10 minutes into the game.
Trying to zone them out at this point of time, but as you can see, Kimin still trying to get that level lead and maintain it over TODAK's side. The longer that Untitled just sit here and see TODAK doing nothing, the better it is for them, actually. Conceal, coming up for the side of Dreams. Not going to find much here as TODAK don't have much of an answer. They don't see Kimin at all. They don't know where SkyZ is. Well, now he shows up down by bot side, probably will now.
Tectonic charge used defensively. Very important cooldown that Untitled will not have now.
Yeah, but now more reason for Untitled not to actually contest this Lord. Oh, that's an interesting interaction now that the back wall is missing. Huh. We'll see how this plays out because Zayed, unfortunately, with the lore changes, will not be able to hold this by himself.
So far, good zoning from TODAK, but the broken wall, hold on. Here comes the Violet Requiem onto the Gatot. Revitalized, though. Dreams doesn't take all that much damage. Here comes another Tectonic Charge. Dreams will eventually fall. Killing Spray. A beautiful Flicker. Landshaker onto Simon Force. This guy secures the kill. Loleo going way too far. The Simon Force gets knocked out once again. It's a double kill for SkyZ, and they're not letting Fundir go either. Like a deer in the headlights, he gets shot right between the eyes. It's a triple kill for SkyZ.
What was that? What was that? Oh, man. So far, Untitled has just got TODAK beat when it comes down to raw macro. The wasted time, they allowed Rossi to get his ult back up. They got Kimin the level lead that he needed to give him the guarantee. And let's look at the instant replay one more time. Because Kimin, initially, what in the world is Dreams doing there, right? He still has his ult available, but knows that Rossi is eventually going to get his Tectonic Charge. I think he assumed that the Tectonic Charge was still on cooldown.
I think that's exactly what they were expecting. The Tectonic Charge actually has a lower cooldown than a lot of people might expect, and I'm not sure TODAK were prepared for that. It actually wasn't too bad a start, because Violet Requiem wasted on Dreams is actually good, but TODAK overcommitted once they saw it happen.
Yeah, they had no means to disengage almost straight away after, right? And then Loliel's needed more space to play, especially once the Simon Force is out. He needs options.
Mid inhibitor falls so fast, and we can see the damage from Untitled building up. This is a 9k net worth lead, a far cry from what it was before, and the Lord is on the crystal. TODAK, they're taking a long time to deal with this. Even the Feathered Airstrike has to be used just to zone Untitled out, and SkyZ is already whittling down the bottom inhibitor. It's nearly dead, actually. Tectonic Charge comes out, forces the Purify from Loleel. Summon Force used defensively as well. AOG also going to be used to back off. Here comes the Violet Requiem. They found Zion! Monster kill for SkyZ! Untitled not letting TODAK go, not giving them a chance to breathe. All 5 members still healthy in the base. Another knockup onto Loleel. Kimin goes down. They will finally lose 1 member, but the crystal is still open. The minions are streaking in. Ziska on top of the crystal, loses his life, but it's one hit, Skyzen! He just needs to hit it one time, but he's looking for the kills. It's a double! Untitled are flexing on TODAK!
They are Untitled so far at the end of this game. Skyzen, perfect score, max stacks on that Sky Piercer, 100% confidence in his ability, even after making a mechanical blunder which costed him his flicker early on. He was not shaken.
Actually insane gameplay at the end there from Untitled. The game looked pretty close leading up to that point. TODAK was actually holding their position pretty well, but just one or two mistakes was all it took.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, because so far, in terms of raw vision, I gotta give it Untitled. There was no means of escaping just being tracked as Zayed as the jungler, right? They knew exactly where your pathing was going to end up. They were matching the potential pressure with their own form of resistance. I think there needs to be better communication with some of the side lanes to kind of set these ganks up, right? How else are you supposed to bypass it?
I do feel like TODAK was not really taking advantage of their early game as much as they could have. We already talked about this when the draft completed. They have a lot of heroes that allow them to take control of the river in the first few minutes, that let them burst people down and snowball off of kills. And we didn't really see them making an effort to do that.
Well, I mean, we met with a lot of resistance because there's no way they can do it through mid side, right? Every single time, either Rasi or even Storm are checking separate bushes, right? They're making sure that the jungle path is always away from their side. And once they know it's safe, it's about trying to shove out that wave as soon as possible and tax their opponent's life totals. And I think that's where Rasi's experience comes into play. Because every time we see that Rasi bothers to leave the lane to put it into a 1v1 between Storm alongside Zaim Senpai, Storm is doing a much better job. And this is prior to level 4.
Yeah, I think Storm was doing an incredible job that game, actually. I think he was disabling Dreams by himself, basically, the entire game. But the MVP of the game, once again, goes on over to Sky Z. The sniper of Untitled himself, racking up those kills this entire season at this point.
He's racking them up, and he's racking them up fast with a perfect game and a KDA of 8-0.